continuation of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. So we have, we are in the series of shlokas, which is going to talk about the concept of karma, vikarma, and we'll take this opportunity to talk about karam sannyas and all the concepts related to the action, inaction, the karma aspect of it. So it's a very foundational topic, and we'll take this opportunity to go really deep into this topic this whole week, including karma. So yesterday we did a bit of tilling. I will continue with that today. So very warm welcome to all of you. Let me share my screen and we will get started like we always do by taking the blessings of God and Guru. Let me share my screen, desktop. I'll share it. All right. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Nitinji, we can see the screen.
Not in the presentation mode yet.
Yes, now it's in.
Okay. Okay, so let's get started then. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radha Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you once again. So let's get started. Today we are going to move on to the next shloka, 4.17. I'm going to recite it and then you're welcome to follow along. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Okay, so let's take a few hands. Volunteers want to recite it? All right, we have a lot of volunteers today, starting with Sandhya. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. All right, Preeti ji, after a long time, please go ahead.
Please go ahead, Preeti ji.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Karmanyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, thank you, Preeti ji. You served as a catalyst for another half a dozen hands. All right, let's move on.
Jyoti ji, please go ahead.
Jyoti ji. And by the way, today's special, I think Amruta Vani ji is making a comeback. Okay, she started off doing the sessions and he started these sessions and then took a break in between, and today she's back. It's a bit of a feeling of a deja vu today. Welcome back.
Thank you, Nitin ji.
All right, go ahead, Jyoti.
Radhe Radhe, Jyoti ji.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Amrita Vani ji and everyone. Karmano hayapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Radhe Radhe.
Nice, Jyoti. Radhe Radhe, wonderful.
Thank you, Jyoti. Sam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Sam ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Karmano hayapi bodhavyam बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणस्य बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you, Samji. Radhe Radhe. Who's next?
Surya Prakash ji, SSPG.
SPG, please go ahead.
राधे राधे नितिन जी.
Radhe.
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणं च बोद्धव्यं गहनो कर्मणो गतिः.
Wonderful. Very nice, SSPG. All right. I have see 2 more hands. We can take those.
Diya ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe.
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः.
Wonderful.
राधे
Very nice.
राधे.
Radhe Radhe. I think we see a couple of other on screen as well. Yes, go ahead.
Ragi
Let's
ji.
give reference to. All right, that's fine. Anyone? Yes, please.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
कर्मणो हे अपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः.
Very nice, Pragiji. Thank you. All right, we can take 2 more hands.
Please go ahead, Shyam ji.
राधे राधे जी. राधे राधे.
Radhe.
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Shyamji. All right. Last but not least, Amritavani, please go ahead.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe, everyone. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi.
Wonderful. Very nice. So let's get started. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, you must understand the nature of all 3. The recommended action, the wrong action, and inaction. The truth about these is profound and difficult to understand. So we'll see why it is difficult to understand, because it's not so straightforward. And despite having the knowledge, we can still get it wrong. But since it's a very important concept, we will go really deep into it and see, how best we can imbibe it in our day-to-day lives. So let's move on. We'll talk about the recommended action, wrong action, and inaction. So let's get started. Okay, our soul soup segment. Let's see, what does it say today? Right, so this is the segment. So it is Happy Independence Day. Okay, happy 76th, 24 shy of a century Independence Day to everybody. It's an Independence Day for India, Bharatvarsh. And wishing everybody a very happy Independence Day. I used to look forward to it because we'll have a holiday. Okay, but 26th January made for more festivities because we would see so many things on the TV. And 15th August, you would hardly see anything. But holiday was always welcome. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Are we truly independent? Right? We might have won the battle, but we are yet to win the war here. Okay. So yes, we are independent, which is pretty awesome. Every country strives for independence. They want to run the government in their own hands and have a democratic system where people can elect their government, and a law of the land, which is called constitution. And that is what, if you go in the history books, pretty much all of the countries, they've had their struggles, right? And a place which is now called United Kingdom used to rule pretty much the entire world. Now it is reduced to the size of less than Uttar Pradesh. But for some reason, they were pretty dominant and have ruled for most part of the world, right? Including India. And if you go to UK, London, you'll hardly find good weather, right? When Indian cricket team is playing, I'm always like 2 to 3 days will be washed off in rain only. And it is said that's probably the curse of the British Empire, where because of the fact they ruled everybody, now they're not going to get good weather. I don't know how far it is true, but that is how it is. But let's get back to the topic that we're going to talk about. Are we truly independent is what we're going to talk about now. It is an independent state, so it's important to think and ponder upon this question more deeply. We are actually enslaved by our mind and intellect, right? So we are independent, yes, in a physical form, the country that we talk about. But if you truly think about this whole thing as human beings, we are still enslaved by our mind and intellect. And we are tormented by Maya. We are under the trap of Maya. Okay, Tom is tormenting us, basically, trap of Maya. So in that sense, it's not a true independence as yet, right? As a human being, we are still doing a bit of a slavery in that sense. And true independence would be breaking that shackles when we get over all these, the self-imposed traps of Maya on us, right? I think Shankaracharya, when he was asked that Jagat Chitam Kain, he said, Mano hi yen. Who will be the true conqueror or winner? Conqueror, he said, the one who will conquer the mind. So when we are able to conquer mind, that's when we can truly enjoy the freedom. So if we think deeply about philosophically, actually we have gained independence, all of us, all the countries, but then as a human being, we are yet to win that war. And that is the war which we talk about. The spirituality is essentially enabling us to win that war and putting us in good stead and on the path to gain that ultimate freedom, so to say. But anyways, regardless, it's an Independence Day and we should feel good about. In fact, it is said that there are 3 graces of God. One is to make us human. That is a big grace because not everybody gets that chance to become a human. Second is giving us a spiritual spark where we have an inclination to go for the higher truths in life and not just lead an ordinary mundane life, right? That is the second grace of God. The third grace of God is making us meet a guru, a spiritual mentor who can actually help us along this journey. It's very difficult to find that. A lot of factors have to converge. And it is said the fourth grace of God is giving you birth in Bharatvarsh. Okay? That is also called a grace because when we grow up, there are so many concepts and things that are fed to us early on in life. You don't have to build a lot of knowledge base to believe in Ram or Krishna. And for that matter, Lord Krishna and all these avatars, they chose Bharatvarsh to, Ayodhya, or Mathura, and so many places where Lord actually took avatar. It's actually Bharatvarsh. So we cannot stake a claim or proprietorship on God, but for some reason he chose this earth, this Bhumi, right? So there must be something special in that. So we should feel good about that as well. So with that said, let's move on. We are going to do a quick recap of the concept that we are talking about before we get deeper into this discussion. So for that, let me share my screen. Just let me know if you're able to hear the audio. I have set it up for 1 point a little faster so that we can cover it and then we move on. So Sri Krishna, are you able to hear it? Cool. Let me go a little back and then get. So Sri Krishna says, Arjun, this karma is so confusing that even big scholars are confounded by it. Like, for example, in the Vedas, there are 3 kands. There is the Karma Kand, the Jnana Kand, the Bhakti Kand, the 3 sections. So the major portion of the Vedas is dedicated to karma. Out of the 100,000 Vedic mantras, 80,000 are related to Karma Kand. And in regard to karma, the Ishopanishad states, Urvanne veha karmani jishi vishecha tagvam sama evam tvainanyatetosti na karma lipyate nare. Oh, human beings, the karma as recommended by your varn and your ashram, you must do it. That is your duty. The Vadhul Shruti states, Shruti Smriti Mamaivagye Yastu Ullangya Vartate Agyo Chedi Mamadveshi Mad Bhakto Pichame Priya. God is saying, Mamadveshi, those who don't follow the rules of Karma Kand, they are my enemies. And the Bhagavatam says, Veda Praniheto Dharmo Yadharmas Tadviparaya Vedo Narayana Sakshat. Look, in the Vedas, I have explained the karma. And to do it is your dharma. And if you don't do it, that is adharma.
And come to the Bhagavad Gita. Now we start from the Vedas, we come to the Bhagavad Gita. Arjun, by doing your karma, you can achieve the supreme goal, just like Janak did. So work is worship, as they say in the world. Shri Krishna also saying work is worship.
Helen Hansel was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had...
So from the Vedas till the Gita, they are all saying do your karmas. But now look at the contradiction. This Ish Upanishad, which said do your karmas, it says, Andham tamah pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyaya gwamrata. Those who follow the path of karma kand shall achieve darkness. Achieve darkness? 80,000 mantras are describing karma kand. And now the same Upanishad is saying that you will achieve darkness. Did the writer of the Vedas have an epileptic stroke and write the reverse? Not in one place, in many places. Avidyaya mantare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana dandramyamana pariyanti moodha andhe naivaniyamana yatha andha. This is the Kat Upanishad. And this mantra is also in the Mundaka Upanishad. That look, this karma kand, it seems like vidya, but actually it is avidya. Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamaya nastya kritah kritena. Spiritual scientists, the rishis and munis, have studied karma, contemplated over it, done it, and then seen the fruits of this is not self-realization. And that's why they say reject it. So the Vedas asked us to do karma and they are asking us to reject it. Now come to the Bhagavad Gita. Shri Krishna said, Sve Sve Karmanya Virata. And now Shri Krishna says, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham Pravadantya Vipashtaha Vedavadana Partha Nanyadastiti Vadina. Look, Arjun, don't get fooled by the flowery language of the Vedas which say, do your karmas, you shall attain the celestial planets. Don't you know, these celestial abodes are temporary and from there you will have to come back to the earth planet. So the Ramayana says, Bhagavan Ram is saying, Tyaga hi karma shubha shubhadayaka. Bhagavan Ram is saying, O residents of Ayodhya, you must reject karma and also vikarma. Bhajahi mohi sura naramuni nayaka. So this is what creates the confusion. Whether we should do karma or we should not do karma. Lord Krishna himself said, I am descending to establish dharma. Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. And he ends the Bhagavad Gita by saying, Sarva dharman parityajya. Give up all dharmas, Arjun. Mam ekam sharanam raja. Just surrender unto me. So these Vedas seem to have a deep philosophical contradiction in them. Where from the Vedas to the Gita, they all asked us to do karma and they eulogized it. And then from the Vedas to the Gita, they are all rejecting karma. And if you come into the Bhakti Shastras, Naradji, karmanapi sanyasyati. Throw it away. Kevalam avicchannam anuragam labhate. In fact, Naradji has even said, Vedanapi sanyasyati. So this creates a big doubt. Sometimes it's good to have big doubts. Because that is how the Gita started. Arjun Vishad Yoga. Arjun was in doubt. But his doubt became the launching pad for knowledge. So Shri Krishna has created this doubt and he says, Kavo kavayo pyatra mohita. The big scholars are confused by this. Should I do my karma? And what is my karma? Like now, for example, one lady, her husband says that, please make a cup of tea for me. So she thinks, Pati Parmeshwar, let me make for him. In the meantime, the mother-in-law says, the husband's mother, Bahu, can you please make lunch for me? So now what is the dharma? To fulfill the husband's instruction first or the mother-in-law's instruction. If you say Pati Parmeshwar, the mother-in-law is the mother of Parmeshwar. To fulfill the mother-in-law's instruction first. In the meantime, while the wife is calculating, the father-in-law says, Bahu, can you please get this soap for me from the market? Now the problem of dharma has increased. Should we fulfill the mother-in-law's instruction first or the father-in-law's instruction? If you say the mother's position is higher than the father, our scripture says, Pitu Shatoguna Mata. Mother's position is 100 times higher than the father. So fulfill the mother-in-law's instruction. But the father-in-law is the husband of the mother-in-law. Big confusion. So that is why Gehena Karmano Gati. Our scriptures talk about non-violence as paradharma. What the Buddha said, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, what Bhagavan Mahavir said, it is there in the Vedas. Ma Hisyat Sarvavitani. Don't hurt any living entity. But in the Mahabharata, Arjun wants to follow non-violence. I will not kill. They are my relatives. And Shri Krishna says, no, Arjun, kill. Hey, Maharaj, I want to follow the path of dharma. No, Arjun, out here, if you don't kill, that will be adharma. Think about it. If you can't come up with the answers, we'll resolve it tomorrow.
All right. So it leaves us at an inflection point, which is a good thing. So we'll continue. And so again, a very happy Independence Day that we spoke about. Now let's get into the topic today. That's where we left, right? Dharma is not a straightforward thing to understand. And how do we do actions so that they are in accordance with Dharma? They are the recommended action. Are these the forbidden action? Or there is a third category of action as well? Okay, that is what we're going to talk about. So let's move on. We've already seen this. Now here is a line has come up again. So let me build on this. So on one end of this line, you have forbidden actions. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have auspicious actions, right? Now, if you were to, and then somewhere in between, you have neutral actions. So you have forbidden, auspicious, and neutral actions. Now, given a choice, which one would you choose? Anybody has any preference or recommendation around it? What do you think is the right thing to do? Forbidden, neutral, auspicious? Anybody can raise your hand and answer this question. Technical question. Yes, Shyamji, you are brave enough, so please go ahead.
You can unmute yourself, Shyamji.
Okay, thank you, Radhe. Yeah, so it all depends on actions. Some might be good for me, some might be bad for you. It all depends. How do we see it in the first place?
Okay.
Is that so?
Fair enough. No, I'll get to that. Yes, Pallaviji.
Radhe Radhe. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Nitinji, from what I would pick will be neutral action. Neither I want my actions to be auspicious, because when I'm doing good karma, it creates the possibility of getting rewards for the good karmas in return. If I'm doing forbidden karmas, then it gets into me forgetting the consequences based on those actions. But if it is neutral, then I am not bound by my actions.
Okay, that was a pretty profound answer. Thank you, Pallaviji. Yes, I see a couple of hands more. Sandhya, you agree to agree or agree to disagree or disagree to agree?
I have to agree with Shyamji and Pallaviji, but just to add one thing, like it depends upon what is it we are saying neutral to, right? Is it neutral to results? And also, like it's the consciousness that really matters.
True. How do you get to basically the consciousness would dictate whether you have ended up done doing something forbidden or something auspicious or neutral. Very true. Prabhat, you wanted to add, and then maybe a couple more hands, and then we'll take this discussion forward.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji. I am also agree with Palviji. It's just auspicious actions are comparatively easy in compared to neutral action. Remain in action is always very tough. That's why we can go for auspicious action. But neutral action is always preferable.
Cool. Nice. Thank you, Prabhat. Yes, Kirtiji, you wanted to add, and then we'll come to Preetiji.
Go ahead.
I feel that any selfless action with good intention would be the way to go. So it can fall into, maybe neutral or auspicious, or but it is basically something that you are not expecting results for. It is some selfless action.
True. Very nice. Great. Yes, maybe one more hand we can take, and then yes, Preetiji. Thank you, Kirtiji.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Forbidden actions are out of question. I'm battling between auspicious and neutral. So I'm kind of envisioning myself as having done whichever action, either auspicious or neutral, not the result, but what do I say to it? I mean, do I feel happy at the end of having done it? Then I'll choose that. I wouldn't worry much about neutral or auspicious. I will worry for my happiness.
Okay, you feel happy doing that. That's a good one. Let's continue building on this. Yes, Prashasti ji, go ahead, please. Maybe you can take it and then move forward.
Yeah, okay. So I have a question for this question. Who decides what is auspicious and what is forbidden? I mean, my auspicious could be somebody else's inauspicious action, right?
Very fair call. Yeah,
So who decides that? So, I mean, so here, I mean, if I might choose something auspicious, but what if it is inauspicious for people around me? Say my decision for that particular thing might affect some 5 more lives, but my auspicious could be other people's inauspicious, or my neutral action, say I don't decide not to do anything, and that also could turn out to be, you know, inauspicious for other people, or that might result in them doing something which basically comes under forbidden actions. So yeah, who decides?
I think you made the point. Yeah, who decides? Very, very true. Who decides? How do you know? It's very contextual. It's relative. Somebody who's doing good may turn out to be bad for somebody else. Yeah, there are so many factors in play, right? With regards to that, and what actually determines what is auspicious, what is not. See, there are certain kind of rules, or you can subscribe to in our scriptures, scriptural injunctions, right? At a broader level, we all agree, right? There are certain things which are forbidden, right? Forbidden things, of course, we gain knowledge and then refrain from doing that, right? For example, it's not good to steal, it's not good to be dishonest, it's not good to kill people, you know, for your self-interest and stuff like that. So those virtues you can easily, you know, say in black and white. And what about the dilemmas and other things where what do you know whether it's good or bad or auspicious or not? So let's go a little deeper into that discussion. Wayne and Manjuji, just hold off, you can keep your hands, and then we'll build on this discussion and try to understand it a little deeply, okay, these concepts. Now our scriptures are putting our karmas into 4 categories, okay? They say karma, vikarma, akarma, and then the 4th one, we will get to that as well, which is called karma sannyas, where you retire from karma. And what is karma sannyas? It's a topic in itself. We'll get to that. So let's focus on these 3 things first: the karma, vikarma, and akarma. Okay. Now, the karma is action. Karma is auspicious actions. Now, your definition, we said, how do you know that, right? It says auspicious actions recommended by the scriptures for regulating the senses and purifying the mind. So it's, as humans, it's obligatory on us to understand those principles, right? The principles of varnashram dharam in bachelorhood, what you need to do. As a grihast, how do you lead a regulated life? Then when do you need to go to vanprasth, right? At each stage of life. So those things are very well laid out in our scriptures, what one should be doing, including the broader principles around things that are called pap, punya, all of that thing is laid out in scriptures. So ignorance is not a bliss. Okay, so that is why we humans do our humble attempt at adhering to those principles by introducing courses like moral science and stuff like that for kids, right? But that is a limited attempt. It goes much deeper than that. And ignorance is not a bliss. It's like if you don't adhere to those principles, the fire will do its job, right? Whether a kid puts his hand knowingly or unknowingly, fire is not going to spare. And that is how these principles work on us. Now, if we are doing karma, which is not in accordance with scriptures, okay, Vedas are something which is manifested as a manual for human life. Okay, and they are called apurusha or shruti praman. When this creation is manifested, Vedas are manifested as well. And it talks about do's and don'ts. There are vidhi and nishedh. So 80,000 verses, that 80% of the Vedas talk about vidhi and nishedh. Vidhi means do this. Nishedh means don't do this. Now, if we have for some reason not been exposed to that knowledge or haven't made an attempt consciously or systematically, then that's not an excuse, because Vedvyas says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, when you are born as a human, now you shall inquire who you are and get, you know, understanding on the broader, deeper secrets of life, as well as what is the purpose of life and how do you get, what is the goal of life, what is your relationship with divinity, and what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. Everything you need to go and inquire and adhere to that. So that is called karma. However, if you watch Swamiji's video carefully, right, karma, if you do karma, that will still lead you to darkness. It's a very deep concept. Okay. Karma has a result, and that result is still not something that is taking us beyond this material world. We'll go deeper into that concept. So let's for now say karma is the auspicious activities or positive good deeds, so to say, that we undertake. That is called karma. Then we have vikarma. Vikarma is inauspicious actions prohibited by scriptures since they are detrimental and result in degradation of the soul. Majority of the people in this world, they end up performing vikarma. Why? Either by choice or because of ignorance. Okay, it's like that attitude of chalta hai, who knows, let me just follow my mind, right? As long as I'm not doing anything bad for others, it's okay. There are too many concepts our mind cooks up to justify itself. But invariably, it will fall into the category of vikarma. Right? Yesterday, we were talking about intellectualizing God's leelas. That also falls into vikarma. We don't know that. Just by passing, we are passing opinions, thoughts. So many things are happening that they all fall into vikarma. And vikarma is something that most of, like I said, majority of the people, they end up doing in their day-to-day lives just purely out of ignorance, okay, or their past sanskars, or because they have never bothered or cared about understanding the deeper principles around it. And then people who have an awakening or start aligning to it, then they start becoming God-fearing, or at least start aligning to some of the principles. But let's understand, vikarma is inauspicious, which is not good for our spiritual journey. Karma is something which is good. Okay. And then the third one is called akarma. Akarma, the word seems like something bad or negative, but akarma is actually good. Akka means also known as karam yoga. Akarma are actions that are performed without attachment to the results, merely for the pleasure of God. Okay, it is the highest level of action one can perform. They neither have any karmic reactions nor do they entangle the soul. Now, both auspicious and inauspicious, okay, let's say, for example, let's say for the sake of the discussion, we understand. Okay, we'll get into that as well. How do we know? That is fine. But let's say somebody is subscribing to auspicious actions. That is also entangling. And somebody subscribes to inauspicious, of course, it is entangling. So the way to go is karam yoga. We have to perform actions which are not entangling or binding, which is called karam yoga. That is a key concept. So we don't have to go on either side, we have to go in the middle. A karam neutral action is something that we need to adhere to. And that neutral action means which does not have any karmic reactions associated with it. Now you may say that, okay, if I'm doing good actions, why there is a karmic reaction? There is a karmic reaction of getting what you call meritorious deeds, results for your meritorious deeds. That is also binding. So punya is better than pap, but pap and punya both are binding. Okay. So that is why it is said Karam Kand, which is 80% of the Vedas, the result for that is punya. And what do you get from punya? Binding result. Go to celestial abode, exhaust your meritorious deeds and come back again. And that is why it is said that is also darkness. Going to Swarglok or celestial abode is also darkness. You have not really cut the corner here. So Karam, Vikaram, both are binding. Akaram is the real thing. Okay. Karam Sannyas, I'm not going to touch upon it today. We will touch it as part of our discussion, but it is a little more deeper, nuanced discussion. I've just introduced this concept right now. Let's move on. So, and because of it, what happens? Because of Karam and Vikaram, what happens? You see this baggage? What is this baggage? Travelers carry it, right? We are also travelers and we are doing this tourism. 8.4 million tourism because of Karam and Vikaram. What is this baggage? Baggage is of our sanskars and the subtle body that the soul carries forward and then keeps rotating in the cycle of birth and death across different species. Okay, all the creativity or the toys that Brahmaji has created, we start inhabiting those bodies periodically, and then after a lot of God's grace, we get a human body like a scholarship, and then we fritter it away by again doing actions which are binding. So basically this game is this matrix. If you think about it, there's no way out of it until or unless you start subscribing to the deeper philosophy of Karma Yoga. That is the science of work that Lord Krishna has expounded so beautifully in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we cannot get out of this matrix unless we understand the deeper secret of how to perform our day-to-day work, how to perform our duties. We will invariably fall into these two categories of karam and vikaram otherwise. Most of the activities, 99.9% activities fall into these categories. Either you are doing something good, auspicious, or you're doing something bad, which is not against the scriptures. So that trap, there's no getting out of that trap until we understand the deeper principle of Karam Yoga and start aligning to it as frequently, as much, until it becomes a second nature, and we keep on progressing on that path. Okay. So because of this happens, and what else happens? And we need to get out of this, take a flight, and subscribe to God realization is basically where you get divine love, divine bliss, and divine knowledge. That is the aim. We need to take a flight out of this tourism that we are doing, a better flight. Okay, that is the whole idea. Now let's move on. Now, why do we need to? Some people may say, okay, why do I need to? I mean, that's fine. I'm fine. I have a family. I enjoy life. It's okay. Life has some odd balls, curve balls that might be thrown, and that is perfectly okay. Why should I even think about getting out of this matrix? Okay, if you're giving that reason, our scriptures say, think deeply about this topic. Okay, you have to deal with what are the things? Panchaklesh. What are the Panchakleshas? These 5 gentlemen you see. Okay, it starts with avidya, ignorance. We are ignorant. We will continue to be ignorant until we become cauterized. Okay, and because of that ignorance, there are too many concepts, fundas we make in our head and keep subscribing to those, which will lead us to do more vikarmas instead of karmas, right? Then this avidya is the misconception of our true reality. How do we? Because we think that temporary is eternal. This world is eternal. My relatives, my this will continue to exist for me forever, right? We don't want to think otherwise. Impure is pure. We look at the world or everybody and who are tainted with Triguni Maya and we think they are pure. Pleasure to be, and basically the pleasure to be painful. This false and distorted representation of reality is the primary klesha. This is the first klesha, which leads to other kleshas. Now, what are the other 4 kleshas that come from it? Asmita. Asmita is I-amness, right? Where we identify ourselves with the ego. We create our own self-image that we believe is us, but that is not us. That is why I say, even when people depart, when they die, the soul takes about 2 to 3 days to actually digest the fact that this body that I'm seeing was not me, that I always used to look in the mirror and believe that that was me. It's not me. It takes soul a bit of a time to get that closure because it is so tightly coupled, its identity with the body. So that is called the I amness. That is the second clash that happens. And then the false identity, the ego, I am poor, I am rich, I am so and so. All those are false projections. We are actually a soul. What else? Then the third clash that we have to deal with is rag. We fall into attracted for things that bring satisfaction to oneself. Pleasurable experience, mindless action we do, and the blind-sighted vision because of that. Now, and when we don't get that, we suffer. And when we obtain what we desire, our pleasure that soon fades away, and then we start searching for it again and again, and then it's an endless trap we keep falling into. And our mind keeps on convincing us, you know what, I'm just missing this one thing, and then when this thing is corrected, I'll be happy. I'm not getting the right match. If I get it, I'll be happy. My boss is not right. If I get a better job, I'll be happy. If this thing falls in place, I'll be happy. All this is trap, basically, nothing. Okay, so this creates some false sense of attachment to things that we think are going to give us happiness. The next one is dvesh. The opposite of that is dvesh, where we have, on one hand, we have a hankering, on the other side, we develop aversions towards things that we think are going to be unpleasant for us, right? Fear comes from that. We dislike things and then we suffer because of that. And we try to stay away from them because we think that is also going to give us basically some kind of a pain. And then the abhinivesh. And then this is the klesh, everybody, where we think that, our existence is going to cease to exist when we die. So nobody wants to die. Right? We all will die, we know that, but that fear of death is deeply buried in our consciousness. Nobody wants to die. So these are the panchaklesh we have to deal with. Okay. And if you think it's cool, it's okay to deal with that, that is fine. But I'm just telling you what our scriptures are telling, why we need to seriously think upon this topic as to why we need to get out of this, this karam vikaram cycle. If we do karam vikaram, we have to deal with this panchaklesh. But it doesn't end here. We have to deal with trikarma as well, right? The sanchit karma, we are contributing to more karma. The ocean that is already there, we keep on contributing to that through our binding actions, right? And the prarabdh, sanchit and kriyaman, we have spoken about this. I'll not get into too detail here, but this is our stockpile of all the karmas that we have accrued across lifetimes, and a drop of it is given to us in a particular life. Let's say we exhaust that drop. For that also, we'll have to do neutral karmas throughout our life consistently. Okay, that is a big deal. And the kriyaman is, of course, the choice that we exercise in our life that becomes part of our future prarabdha. So we are still bound under these three karmas. Saints and God, they are not. So three karma is another thing. Then tritap. Nobody can be immune to tritaps. Adi bhautik, we see that the insects come in, snakes come in, spiders can freak out people. We have to deal with that. The other jeeves, that the pain that they can inflict upon us. Adi devik, we know, right? These storms, tornadoes. Right now in Himachal, there's a lot of rain, torrential rain that is happening, and it's causing a havoc there right now. We all have to deal with that. Earthquakes happen. Tsunami happened. And for that matter, recently COVID had happened. We all have to deal with that. And then adhyatmic as well. Our own mind troubles us, our body troubles us. We catch cough, fever, and cancer, and all those kind of stuff. So there's no escape from all these things in the material world, right? So negative actions, positive actions simply keep us rotating in this world. It doesn't take us beyond this world. Neutral action is something that we need to figure out how to perform actions which is neutral. Neither negative nor positive. Okay, and how do we do that is going to be a topic that we will continue to explore. Now, karma is what we are focusing on, which are positive actions. Okay, it's important at least to have positive actions. Okay, I would say it's a hygiene criteria to justify our existence. It's not like positive actions and negative are both bad, so let me just do negative only. No, if you do positive, it's going to be a stepping stone towards something higher, right? But positive actions is something which is called karma. Simply karma. It's not karam yoga. So people, like, they think karam yoga is like I do karma throughout my day and then I do yoga in the morning, so that becomes karam yoga. Doesn't work that way. It is a pure karma. Okay. And if it is a good action in accordance with the injunctions of our scriptures, then you get good results. That's all it is. It is positive karma. It is a binding karma still. Now let's have a bit of a discussion on this topic. I would say the first thing, I don't believe in God. What is the next best thing to do? Let's have a bit of a discussion. We'll take a few hands to drive this discussion forward. You don't believe in God. What is the next best thing to do? Anybody? Yes, Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe. That means you mean to say that we should only do akarma.
No, if you don't believe in God, what is the next best thing to do? I'm saying.
Be good, do good.
Be good. Yeah, sure. Yes, Preeti, you wanted to add something?
It's the same. I would say just do the good things.
Become good. Yeah, do good things. Very, very logical, right? You don't believe in God, it's fine. Become good. Do good deeds at least in this earth. Now, I'll have a follow-up question to that. Can we become good merely by following our intellect and common sense, like people would like to believe? Anybody wants to take that question? Okay, we have to become good. We are all there. Okay, I don't believe in God. Let's leave God aside for a moment. Let's just talk about just existing in this world. So next best thing is to become good. Now, can we become good by just by our intellect and common sense? That is how we go on this journey of life, becoming good, right? We carry that certificate. We are all good. Yeah, Sandhya, you wanted to add something? Let's take a few hands.
God is the embodiment of anything and everything which is good, great. So, I mean, we cannot become good, happy, anything positive without involving God in the picture.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, Monica, you wanted to add something?
Yes, Nitinji, Radhe Radhe. With this material intellect, we can never become good enough to let go of the fact that it's not us who's actually doing good. That sense of doingness is there always. So, no.
Okay, that's good. I think you went a little philosophical and deeper. Very good point. Let's hear from Kirtiji.
Yeah, so I lost my thought when I heard different things, but the question was, can we become good merely by following our intellect and common sense? No, I think that we need the guidance from our scriptures to know what is, good and what is not, particularly in those ambivalent things, if the scriptures can guide us. However, to as a follow-up to your previous question on believing in God, one can believe in self, the self within us, and have the guidance from our scriptures, and I think that can also probably give us some good path or good direction.
That's an interesting take on it. Let's come back to that question. So you're believe in self, basically your own intellect, and think I'm going to extract all the instructions that are there on my own, right? That's essentially what you said.
With the scriptures, from the scriptures, yes. And it could be through a medium, like through a guru, or yourself doing the sadhana and reading, and having some guru answer your questions. Okay. But so that's where I
will build on this discussion. So thank you for calling. Thank you, Preeti ji. I see few hands, so let's quickly cover them. Yes, Preeti ji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe once again. Nitinji, this second question looks to me very difficult vis-a-vis to Swamiji's video that we saw. What is dharma? Like, there are so many definitions. So here, this is very perplexing for me. What is my intellect rightly placed? Is my common sense rightly placed? This is what I'm thinking. I have no answer, but I'm just throwing my question to you. Radhe Radhe.
Yes. So let me simplify this conversation a little more. Let's hear from Arnima and a few more hands, and then say it's very difficult. Dharma is not somebody who can, even great sages. Krishna himself has said in previous shloka that even great wise people cannot understand. It's not so easy to do that. Okay. And so if we think we can take on this battle on our own through our intellect, it's very difficult. And I'm going to simplify this conversation by introducing that concept. But let's hear from a couple of other hands. Yes, Arnima, go ahead.
Yeah, to this question, I was thinking that you can just do good. But then I was thinking before getting the knowledge from Swamiji, I didn't even know that those Panch Kalesh that are so relevant, like in today's world in Kali Yuga, those seemed so normal in everybody's life. So without the knowledge of scriptures, it's very hard to do good in Kali Yuga.
True, very true. So let me add on more questions, and then we'll take the remaining hands too. Okay, can we become good? So some said maybe it's possible. So it was a bit of we didn't come to some kind of a conclusion. So let's move on. Third question is, which is more important, being called good or becoming good? Like, it's all about good today, okay? Being called good or becoming good? Yes, Samji, you wanted to add?
Radhe, coming back to the second question, what is the guarantee? Who decides that my intellect may be good? Maybe I may be thinking whatever I am doing is my common sense intellect is good. Maybe the other person's intellect may be saying, no, it's not. He's a stupid guy. Everybody has a different intellect. So coming back to that one third question, being called good. Being called good is just can be a false flattery or something. Becoming good is more important.
Now, this good thing is again very, very subjective, right? So we need to bring in some objectivity to this whole conversation itself, right? So great. And then the last question that I'll pose is, I think wrapping it up. Okay, finally you become good. Okay, somehow is becoming good enough? Okay, so this is where the good discussion ends. Okay, and then we'll talk about all the 4 questions. Jyoti, you wanted to add something?
Radhe Radhe Nitinji. So for your this last question, just becoming good is not good enough, because to me it feels like we will remain in this material world as we are now, and we will keep on rotating, and that's what we don't want. And other 2 questions, second and third questions. So being called good is not that we want to become good. And usually if you go to your second question, usually when we do good to or we do become good for someone else, knowingly or unknowingly we develop pride. So when God will be there, this pride will not come up. So because God all our scriptures tell us to become humble, so it's important to bring God into picture. That's what I feel and think.
So I think we are building the context to the business case for Karam Yoga now. Thank you for that. Prashasti ji, real quick.
Okay, so answering the third question, I feel becoming good is more important than being called good. For the second question, I think we can become good if we just follow our intellect and common sense, but that needs to go together with selflessness. Without selflessness, you can't really become good. Your intellect might ask you to do something, and common sense says that too, but if it is not benefiting you, if you are one of the parties involved, you would probably not do it totally, or if you might not do it like full, you might do just a part of it, that action. So intellect and common sense needs selflessness as well to actually become good. That's what I feel. And as to the last question, I'm not sure if that is actually good enough.
Okay. All right, so let's Prabhat real quick, and then I'll touch upon each one of these. Yes,
Nitinji, for first question, what is the best thing to do? Like, if we don't believe in God, we can start believing the believer of God. Like, if someone believes on God and we start believing on that particular person, this is the second best thing that we can do, because by the time we will start developing that belief on God, if we do that. And the second question, from our intellect, if we don't believe on God, it is not possible. And the third question, becoming good is more important rather than being called good. And the fourth question, like, it's not good enough. Becoming good, even if becoming good is not good enough, because prem or faith, ऐसी चीजें जिनकी कोई लिमिट नहीं होती, तो गुड अच्छाई की भी कोई लिमिट नहीं हो सकती.
Very true. Thank you, Prabhat. All right, let me touch upon that, and then we'll come to you, Shilpaji. So I don't believe in God. This is a very common argument that comes. What is the next best thing to do? Next best thing to do is, of course, become a good person. At least we should be giving and helping people out, right? But the question is, can we do that? Become merely by our intellect and common sense? The answer is an overwhelming no, right? Because your intellect has a defect. How can you fix the defect of your intellect and mind by using that defective thing? Has your intellect ever told you that you are dumb and you are ignorant? It will never give a verdict against itself. Okay, that is the first problem. The reason we are doing karam and vikaram is because of our buddhi devi only, our false, our defective intellect. When something is defective, it won't even know. What you don't know, right? And intellect will never give judgment against itself. Even your mind doesn't give. Sometimes your intellect overrules your mind and says, you know what, I'm not going to listen to you. But your intellect will never give judgment against itself. Only when somebody shows you the light, then you will be able to see the defects and work on it. And then somebody is known as a spiritual guru. Okay, that is why in our scriptures, it is very clearly said that if you think you can, evolve spiritually and work cleanse yourself, your antakaran or your intellect or the defects of your intellect by your self-effort alone, you are mistaken. Nobody can do that. If somebody has done that, they'll be the first person, okay, which has overridden scriptures and accomplished it on their own. Not possible. Just not possible. Okay. The third is, which is more important, being called good or becoming good? Becoming good is important. The problem that we all face in this world is we want to be called good. Everybody should say good about us. Right? The moment somebody says you are stupid, something lights up within us. Oh my God. Maharaj used to say that, if we are under Maya and we have not attained God, we are all stupids only. And until that point, our argument with other people is, you called me stupid, but at least I am wiser than you. So how dare you call me stupid? We all are stupids until we become completely enlightened, right? We are at the varying degrees of ignorance. That's all it is. So as long as we are WIP, we are WIP, work in progress. We are not VIPs as yet. So the focus should be on becoming good. How can I gain some spiritual virtues? How can I increase my tolerance? How can I increase my patience? How can I, revel or enjoy praising others as opposed to seeking praise for myself? All these are spiritual assets that we can build. But our whole focus is being called good by people. And if somebody says anything bad, we can't even take it with a grain of salt. Immediately, something within us twitches, right? That is the biggest problem. And then let's say for somehow, you end up understanding scriptures through your self-effort and you perfect the Karam Kand. First of all, reading scriptures 5,000 years are also not good enough. And if, let's say, you have invested that time to understand that import, impossible, because they'll seem contradictory. One is saying this, other is saying this. Finally, you'll say all of these are, useless. But let's say you understand theoretically. 80% of the scriptures you understood and you performed those Karam Kands to the letter T perfection. Then you become good, right? Because every action that you did was in accordance with the injunctions of our Karam Kand and scriptures. You became good. Now, is it good enough? It's not. Okay, so what's the point? So the point here is, end of the day, either you subscribe to 80,000 mantras or 80,000 injunctions of Vedas, which talks about Vidhi Nishedh, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this, spend your entire life or entire lifetimes doing that part. Or you simply subscribe to one Vidhi and one Nishedh, which is in devotion. Do things that help you develop love for God. Don't do things that take your mind away from God. Simple, 2 rules. You simplify this conversation, job is done. And why to go through, read scriptures and intellectualize and hypothesize and discuss and do gymnastics in your mind? I mean, simple rule. Take up something. Don't fear if it takes your mind to God and help you develop love for God. Be fearless and adopt that. Reject it fearlessly if it is taking your mind away from God and not helping you develop devotion. If you just go with these 2 rules, that will simplify life. And Karam Yoga, I've already tilled the ground for Karam Yoga, is essentially the same philosophy. Right? Now you're not doing work. Now you say, I'm a surgeon, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher. Now how do I build in God here? Right? So Karam Yoga basically says you start building that consciousness that, first of all, detach yourself from the fruits. Right? This is a very deeper philosophy. I'll get into that whole topic of Karam Yoga because too many questions will come up, right? How do I detach? Then how will I motivate myself? And then how should I retry? And how can I focus if I have to think about God? Will answer all those questions. But God says in this thing is that I'm not asking you to think about me, right? I'm asking that your secret stash or your attachment should be to me. That consciousness you start building, detach yourself from the results and offer it to God. And then you start doing neutral karmas and start going away from the binding karmas, that mindset of performing binding karmas because we want to enjoy the fruits of our actions, right? And that is where the philosophy of Karam Yoga kicks in, the science of work, so to say. Chonji, you had a question?
Radhe. Yeah, I had a question because for the first point that you mentioned, I just want clarification around that because what I understand you say is that maybe I'm not gonna articulate this well. Maybe you can clarify your first point. What I wanted to say really was that when I make a mistake, I own up to it and I say, to myself, I made a mistake. That's my mistake. That's my error in judgment. I own up to it. And I think you were saying that not the intellect doesn't allow us to own up to our mistake. Is that what you were trying to say?
What I'm saying is, beyond a point, your intellect will see. There are times, of course, you can see your mistake and do that. But what I'm saying is your intellect has a capacity, right?
Mm.
It has a capacity. It will not give a verdict against its own self, right? Your intellect will, beyond a point, your buddhi will justify itself. And what something that does not appeal to your buddhi, you will reject it. And there's so many things our buddhi does not understand. And at the same time, the buddhi cannot see its own defects also. Do we know that we are selfish? If until Guru works on us and tells us, starts peeling the layers, we don't even know how many layers of selfishness we are carrying in our day-to-day acts, right? So they know the technology. They have the technology to peel those layers and show us the defects and even remove those defects. None of us have that. So our buddhi will never give judgment against itself. Yes, we own up to our defects, which is good. But then there are so deep-rooted other defects that we are not even aware of, right? Which will just manifest out of nowhere and you'll say, oh my God, where did it come from? But gurus, they know our secret stash and they work on it. That is what I'm saying. Our intellect is not good enough tool for us to progress on this path, right? Going solo with our intellect.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, because I wanted clarification around that because I know we always try to defend ourselves when we make a decision. We justify it. Basically, we justify it. But I also try to analyze things and say, and I own up to it, but not to the level that you're speaking of. So that's what I wanted to clarify, that by no means would we be able to see all our defects and our faults. So we do need that spiritual guidance to help us to do that. So thank you for clarifying that.
That is why, no worries. And that is why Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying, when we talk about surrender, what do we surrender? Right? What is Lord Krishna asking for here? He's asking for our buddhi, man and buddhi, that's all. He's saying you have nothing that doesn't belong to me. This body is given to us by him by rental. This whole world is creation. The money that we own is Lakshmi, basically. That is God's energy only. There's absolutely nothing we can offer to God. But there's one thing that he doesn't have. I mean, he could program us and have it, but that's not, he's given us a choice. So he said, offer me your buddhi, intellect. That's all he's asking for. So when we talk about the concept of surrender, he's not asking for us to give our indris, bodies or anything. He said, I need your mind. Give me your mind. And that's it. The job is done. And that is what we find very hard to give because we have a pride of our intellect. Our buddhi is our biggest undoer at this point. Okay. Yes, Kirtiji, you wanted to add something? I know we are kind of wrapping up for this session, but we had a good discussion on this topic. Yes, Kirtiji, please go ahead.
So just carrying forward on this discussion, I was thinking that our intellect, we have to feed our intellect with the right knowledge. That is step one. Because, I mean, understanding our scriptures make us give a direction to what is good, and what in terms of dilemma also it gives us some pathway, including our guidance from the Guru. However, this devotion part is kind of tangential to me because I feel that how do I mean, the intellect does tangibly change when we have better knowledge from our scriptures. But how does devotion and surrendering your intellect to something abstract, whether we call Krishna or Ram or Shiv or, a universal Brahma, when we that is kind of something that I'm not able to fathom.
True. And you're calling it abstract because I think you've not gone deeper into the philosophy as yet, right? So it is said that how do we develop attraction towards something? Your intellect will be convinced only when you deepen your knowledge around a particular subject, right? When we explore things on the surface, then they may not make sense. But as we start going deeper into a topic, then things will start falling in place. So what I would recommend is continue attending sessions or subscribing to some of the lectures, it's not as abstract as you think it is. And there are tons of saints. In fact, our scriptures have even gone to the length of describing how God looks like as best as they can, right? What they hold, their form and all that stuff. There's tons of literature on that. It's just that we haven't gotten enough exposure to it as yet, or maybe our intellect is not even convinced to take that first step to actually listen to those words and make an attempt to go a little deeper. But when we do that, it'll all start falling in place. That is how it goes. It's not abstract, as you are saying. It is very, very tangible, and multiple people have experienced it. They have documented it, and they have even laid out a path and a process to see that as well. Right? See, it's like a science, any other scientific subject. Now, if you want to taste a recipe, you have to put a faith in a cookbook, right? And you read the cookbook, then you get the ingredients, and then you follow a procedure that I need to mix this in this proportion and then do this. And then you can create that particular recipe and savor it for yourself. Same goes in spirituality. The saints have told us the process. You do this, you do this. These are your milestones. And by this stage itself, you will start perceiving God. And then that thing will keep on increasing until you see him the way he is. So we follow the process. And if we still don't see it, then we reject it. But the problem happens that we are not able to take that first step of faith because our knowledge is not so strong at this point. So jane binu na hoye partiti, binu partiti na hoye priti. The knowledge will lead to faith, faith will lead to love, and love will lead to surrender. The person whom you love, you don't need to do anything to surrender. You are already surrendered to that person. Right? So it's a step-by-step process. So I would recommend let it grow on you, but don't put a barrier in front of you that it is abstract and it just does not make sense and it is blind faith and all those kind of things. Okay, we've spoken about this topic. We'll keep revisiting this topic through different dimensions, but it will just grow in due course of time as we keep going deeper and deeper into some of these topics around it. It's not abstract. Okay, by the way, there's tons of literature on it. We go to Bhagavatam, right? What Vedvyas has compiled in Bhagavatam, if you go to those Leelas, I mean, it's not a figment of imagination, and the amount of the details that it gives you is mind-blowing, right from creation to avatars to how God does, what is his nature, what are divine rules, what are divine laws. Everything is very well articulated in our scriptures with that regards. But happy to discuss more with you if you have any specific questions. All right. So with that, do we have any more questions? Please fill out the feedback tracker. Tomorrow we will continue on this discussion of Karam Yoga as we unravel a few more aspects of it. But any other questions or before we move to our devotional segment, because I know we are a little over already.
Nitinji, can you please take me through with the three karma slide? I just want to make few things from that particular slide. Three karma slide.
The three karmas?
Yeah, just one. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Three karma slide. The previous one.
For the previous one? This one?
Three karma, where you mention about three karma and other thing. Three
karma. Okay, three karma you say.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. There you go. This one?
Yes.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay. That said, welcome to Stay Back for our third segment, which is our devotional segment. And if you have any more questions, please fill out the feedback tracker. I'll be happy to take those on tomorrow's session because this is a very, very important topic and discussion that we are having right now. Okay, so who's going to be reciting something today? Kavita, are you going to recite Kavita today? No, not today. Okay. I'm hearing you're working on some Kavita and it's a top secret right now. Okay.
I'll recite tomorrow. The same Kavita you're talking about.
Okay, but yeah, it's a top secret. Okay, you have to do
Don't tell this
in
to
one
anyone.
shot. Great. Okay, so Urvi, are you going to go today? How are you doing? Good to see you back. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I'll sing Matwari Pyari Chal today.
Please.
मतवारी प्यारी चाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मतवारी प्यारी चाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल जाके लोचन साल मेरो यशोदा को लाल जाके घूंघर वाली लाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मतवारी प्यारी चाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल जाके होठ लाल लाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मैं तो है गई माला माल मेरो यशोदा को लाल मतवारी प्यारी चाल मेरो यशोदा को लाल. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe Urvi, very nice. Beautiful singing and very bhavpur like you always do. Loved it and welcome back. Good to see you back. Hope you're all settled. All right, who's next? Monica ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. ये कविता है by उदय भानु हंस जी. And when I was reading this today, Nitin ji, for some reason मुझे लगा ये आपके through है, आपके लिए है. Except मदिरालय वाला line, but then I'll just recite it. Because I tried changing it to the female version, but then male version sounds better, so I'll just go ahead. तू चाहे चंचलता कह ले, तू चाहे दुर्बलता कह ले, दिल ने जो ही मजबूर किया मैं तुझसे प्रीत लगा बैठा. यह प्यार दिए का खेल नहीं, दो चार घड़ी का खेल नहीं, यह तो कृपाण की धारा है, कोई गुड़ियों का खेल नहीं. तू चाहे नादानी कह ले, तू चाहे मनमानी कह ले, मैंने जो भी रेखा खींची तेरी तस्वीर बना बैठा. मैं चातक हूं तू बादल है, मैं लोचन हूं तू काजल है, मैं आंसू हूं तो तू आंचल है, मैं प्यासा तो तू गंगाजल है. तू चाहे दीवाना कह ले या अलहड़ मस्ताना कह ले, जिसने मेरा परिचय पूछा मैं तेरा नाम बता बैठा. सारा मदिरालय घूम गया, प्याले प्याले को चूम गया, पर जब तेरा पट खुल गया मैं बिन पिए ही झूम गया. तू चाहे पागलपन कह ले, तू चाहे तो पूजन कह ले, मंदिर के जब भी द्वार खुले मैं तेरी अलख जगा बैठा. मैं प्यासा घट पनघटका हूँ, जीवन भर दर दर भटका हूँ, कुछ की बाहों में अटका हूँ, कुछ की आंखों में खटका हूँ. तू चाहे पछतावा कह ले या मन का बहलावा कह ले, दुनिया ने जो भी दर्द दिया मैं तेरा गीत बना बैठा. मैं अब तक जान न पाया हूँ क्यों तुझसे मिलने आया हूँ, तू मेरे दिल की धड़कन में, मैं तेरे दर्पण की छाया हूँ. तू चाहे तो सपना कह ले या अनहोनी घटना कह ले, मैं जिस पद पर भी चल निकला तेरे ही दर पर जा बैठा. मैं उर की पीड़ा सह न सकूं, कुछ कहना चाहूं कह न सकूं, ज्वाला बनकर भी रह न सकूं, आंसू बनकर भी बह न सकूं. तू चाहे तो रोगी कह ले या मत वाला जोगी कह ले, मैं तुझे याद करते करते अपना भी होश भुला बैठा, मैं तुझसे प्रीत लगा बैठा.
Wow, what a poem. So basically you think I should, it's like me singing for somebody, or how, in what context was
You singing for Kana.
Kana? That is the one. Beautiful, very nice. Where did you get it? Is it Harivansh Rai Bachchan?
No, this is Uday Bhanu Hansji.
Uday Bhanu Hansji. Very nice. Where did you find it from?
Research. And it's
Vikas,
on the
yeah.
community portal also if anybody wants to.
Yeah, please do that. I think it's a beautiful one. And Vikash, you've been doing some similar searches as well, right? I hope you have done something similar today. But yeah, thank you so much for that. That was very nice. Put it on the portal. I think a lot of people are going to love it. So thank you so much.
There already. I'm reading from there.
Wonderful. Great.
Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Yes, Vikash, you wanted to do something today? No raps, okay?
Yeah. So, Radhe Radhe to everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
So here I will go. Where is my मनुष्य की it's a poem on Krishna जी. मनुष्य की रक्षा का वादा दिया था, अब मनुष्य की जान बचाओ ना कान्हा. जो लोग नहीं मानते तुमको उनको फिर से अपना चमत्कार दिखाओ ना कान्हा. सभी लोग पूछ रहे हैं कहाँ है भगवान तुम्हारा, एक बार फिर धरती पे अवतार ले. इस विडंबना को मिटाकर ना कान्हा, फिर एक बार बांसुरी बजाओ ना कान्हा. सो चुका है जमीर हर मनुष्य का, एक बार फिर उसको उठाओ ना कान्हा. एक बार धरती बार फिर आओ ना कान्हा. मनुष्य को सुरक्षा का वादा दिलाया था, और मनुष्य की जान बचाओ ना कान्हा.
Wonderful. Are you done?
Yeah. So very short point.
Okay, that was very short and sweet. Very nice, Vikash. You keep on finding newer and newer stuffs every day. Very nice. All right, Manjuji, you wanted to go next. Thank you again.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, and Radhe Radhe to all. I'm singing a song on Lord Krishna. In this, the keyword Nine means you. It's a Kannada song that you can catch up. Nine means you. You means Krishna. Nine Rama, Nine Shama, Nine Allah, Nine Yesu, Nine Karma, Nine Dharma, Nine Marma, Nine Prema, Nimma Jeevada Malikana, Nimma Palina Sevakana, ನನಗೇನು ಹೆಸರಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಿಲ್ಲ, ಕನಕನದೊಳಗೆ ಕುಳಿತಿರುವೆ ಮುಕುಂದ ಮುರಾರಿ, ಮುಕುಂದ ಮುರಾರಿ. ರಾಧೆ ರಾಧೆ.
Thank you, Manjuji. Very nice. Beautiful bhajan. I couldn't completely understand it, but your bhavs were so good, they more than made up for it. And I see our little Arya today. Thank you so much for bringing her to the session. She, I think, does she listen to it every day? Or you want to unmute yourself and say something, Arya?
She attends without fail, like how Abhimanyu, learned how to get into the Chakravyuh. So like that's the same way she listens to Bhagavad Gita class. Majority of the times. Otherwise, we try to keep her awake.
That is so sweet of her. And she's giving smiles.
Smiling.
She's our youngest devotee, and I don't think anybody can break that record. So very nice. Thank you so much, and for getting her. Maybe one of these days she can start singing here as well.
Most definitely.
Next job as a nanny to train her.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Yes, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to see you all.
Pleasure is all mine, Nitinji.
I think we have not heard you, so you are the only one whom we haven't heard. Okay, all the sisters we have heard now.
I actually sang, a couple of months ago, but I'll make sure that I sing soon.
Did that? All right. I think I might have forgotten. You may have to refresh my memory now.
Most definitely. Yes, and I'll definitely sing soon.
Sure, that'll be nice. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Has raised her hand. Sandhya, you want to sing as well? All the three sisters and this whole sisters in the frame. Huh? Very nice. Great. Awesome.
Four.
All four, I said.
Now just one. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to say something?
I was thinking of singing, but I think I can sing some other day. I feel there are more people and they can sing today.
Okay, yeah, I can see you can sing as well. I think Prabhat, you wanted to sing today as well?
Yes, Nitinji. But it is a kind of rap song. But that was prepared by me.
No worries, I know. Please go ahead. It's a devotional rap, right?
And I also want a favor. Whenever I raise my hand, you can say Radhe Radhe. You and anyone else, if they can unmute themselves, and then they can say Radhe. Okay. Just a minute. Just a.
Those who wish to sing, you can unmute yourself. Those who wish to sing Radhe Radhe, you can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Sab mera. Sab mera. Mera, 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 mera Maya hai. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Ram mera Maya hai.
Radhe
Radhe.
शाम की ही माया है.
राधे राधे.
Radhe.
ये भेद जिसने समझा उसी ने सब पाया है.
Radhe Radhe.
कौन कहता है छोड़ दो सब, बन जाओ वो जिसको कम लगे सब. कौन कहता है बन जाओ वो जिसको कम लगे सब. सब हैं अपने.
Radhe
Radhe.
कौन पराया है.
Radhe Radhe.
तो क्यों कुछ से दिल लगाया जब सब शाम की ही माया है.
राधे राधे.
साथ हमारे हमेशा वो यार हमारा है. हम अर्जुन वो कृष्णा वो सारथी हमारा है.
Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे.
That was a good activity, Prabhat. Very nice. Something new, unique, wonderful. So we said Radhe Radhe at least 12 to 14.
सर.
Yes.
सर सीमा जी उनका नाम क्या है, आप थोड़ा बता दीजिए.
सीमा जी का नाम सीमा जी है.
नहीं, सीमा जी का नाम नहीं, उनके साथ जो है वो
आर्या है उनका नाम.
अच्छा, आर्या है. ठीक है.
Okay, all right. So thank you, everybody. And tomorrow we will continue on this fascinating discussion on Karam Yoga, and we will touch upon Karam Sannyas as well. Okay, these two topics are yet to be covered in great detail. So we'll cover both of these and the differences and similarities between both of these as well. Okay. So thank you again. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day from my side. Thank you. Manjuji, you wanted to say something?
Nitinji, I just wanted to ask, in that Diwali ad is there, no? Like from our YouTube Swami Mukundananji channel. In that Diwali ad, is it the beginning voice is Monica ji?
That was too many questions. I didn't get it. Diwali, Monica ji. I think
Diwali, that ad is there, no?
Diwali. Diwali ad. Oh, ad for Leela, you said?
That is it the Monica Singh's voice? Beginning for some minutes, 2-3 minutes.
I wish it was mine, Manjuji. Does it sound nice? I mean, I take the credit.
Yeah,
though, but
yeah, Monica. I actually, after hearing your sound, I just correlated it is your voice only. I just wanted to, like, from 2 days I was thinking to ask. That's why I asked, is it your voice?
No,
It is
Manjuji, not mine.
it exactly matches your voice. You can just have a like look.
Sure, I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. And good night, Radhe Radhe, Arya. We'll see you tomorrow.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day, everyone. Bye.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, say Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. Good. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe. I'll be closing the bridge now.